Morning, folks. Welcome to Calm Survival. I'm Carl. Today we're going to talk about normal. Now, one of the things that is really common in a crisis is people talk about getting back to normal. And I think that while they have good intentions, getting back to normal can sometimes mislead people into a sense that, well, we just go back to the way things were. I don't think that that's necessarily helpful. I think that humans, very naturally, really want things to be um, safe. And usually, safe is what we know, and what we know is what was past, what our past experience was. This is why you might have a friend who has a really bad job, and you tell them, well, you should just quit. Your boss doesn't like you, you don't like your boss, you don't make enough, you do better somewhere else. And yet they don't. They could, but they don't. And then a few months later, they finally do give in. They finally do quit, go somewhere else. And they think, why didn't I leave sooner? Well, we know where we know is almost always safer than what we don't know. And so when we say get back to normal, that has this impression that, well, we can just fix the thing that's wrong and nothing will have changed. It's pretty obvious in the world right now that the world is not going back to the way it was. And the more we try to sit back and try to make that normal happen, the harder it is for us to move forward and to make it new, to make it better. So instead of sitting back and thinking about how things used to be, we need to figure out what the normal is going to look like. Now, right now, world being in a pandemic like it is, that looks in one sort of thing. But your crisis might be different. Maybe your crisis is a little bit more mundane. Lack of a job, medical diagnosis. Instead of deciding what's going to be the old way of doing things, what's the new way? When I got the news that I had celiac disease, which means I can't eat a whole lot of foods that were the normal part of my normal diet, anything with gluten, that took some changing. Now, I could fight against that. I could be in denial or try to change it. Well, biology just do. There is no changing it. And the more you try to fight with that, the more you find that you're just causing yourself pain. You're just causing yourself more hurt. And ultimately, that doesn't lead to anywhere good. You haven't solved anything. You haven't worked anything out. So maybe your job has ended. What's the new normal? Did your old wake up time work for you, but now you need something to do in the morning? Put something in that time. Diet had to change for some reason. All right. Well, find the new. Don't just replace it. Find the new. Make the new normal something that you can deal with. In this world, the idea that no matter what we do, we can just fix things. It can be dangerous because a lot of people just Well, they're so used to fixing everything else beforehand, I'll be able to fix this too. You don't always get that option. Sometimes problems are bigger than just individuals. And so part of accepting how we deal with that is just coming to that understanding of I can't fix all of it. So as we're finding our new normal, as we're making our new normal, remember to let go before it's too late. Whenever there's news footage of a bushfire, wildfire, you always see that one story of somebody who stayed behind, tried to save their house. Now, for every story of somebody who tries to do that, there's someone who doesn't make it. There's someone who doesn't quite survive. And there's somebody who maybe gets lucky. But what we don't often see is the people who they left. They left when they were told to. And the fires didn't hit their house. That's not news. But sometimes there is no saving what was past. The thing coming at us is moving too quickly. And so the sooner you make that move, the sooner you realize it's time to go, the sooner you can get started on the next thing. It can be scary, be very, very scary to figure out what to do next. I know that. But hiding from that fact doesn't get us to a better place. So as we move through this, as a society, as individuals, we have to remember that the normal that comes up is the normal we make. I was in high school when 9/11 happened, and the normal that happened after 9/11 was not a normal that I was happy with, was not a normal that a lot of people were happy with. It was a normal that led to a lot of pain, a lot of destruction, a lot of unnecessary violence, because that new normal was dictated by people who, well, they had an agenda. They decided what the new normal was going to be for their interests, not for mine, probably not for yours either. So we have a choice to make. Do we make the new normal leading out of this something we want? Do you make your new normal something you want? It's not always within our power just to magic up the ideal. You know, I can't just walk myself into a PhD program, become an archaeologist, and go digging, you know, it just doesn't, that's obviously unreasonable. But I do have small choices to make to decide whether or not I'm moving forward, or decide whether or not I can go hide back in a thing that, well, got taken away. So always keep that in mind, okay? Doesn't matter how big the crisis is, how small the crisis is, whatever the new normal is going to be is the result of your action. Take charge of it. I think that's enough for today. I'll see you next time on Calm Survival.